Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. It starts as a suspicious glance at a baby photo. Today on rSpace, this is what happens when skeletons kick the closet door off its hinges. Ran paternity test on my daughter to find wife cheated with her brother-in-law, divorced her, and dated her sister. I'm 42 male, been married to Millie, 36 female, for a solid decade. We've got 3 kids, Emma, 9 female, Jake, 6 male, and Ava, who just turned 1. Our life was smooth, dang near perfect. 2 kids, a girl and a boy, a cozy little setup. We didn't plan for a 3rd kid. Emma and Jake were enough, and we were set on being done. But when Millie told me she was pregnant, I didn't flinch. Financially, we could handle it. My job's steady, and we've always been good at stretching a dollar. I was excited even. Why not? But when Ava was born, something felt off. You see, I'm brown. Millie's caramel, and our older kids fit the mold. Jake's got my brown skin, Emma's more like Millie's caramel complexion. But Ava came out looking like she belonged to a different family. Straight up white. Pale as a ghost. With these bright blue eyes that don't match anyone in our immediate family. Right from the jump, I was side-eyeing it. Millie brushed it off, saying, "Baby skin tones can change. It's hard to tell with infants. Wait for a year, and you'd see she would be of my tone." If I pressed it further, she would put it on my great-grandmother, who was white. I wasn't buying it. Though my great-grandmother was, no one else in my family is that white. My great-grandfather was brown, and none of his kids, or my uncles, aunts, nor my siblings, ever came out looking like Ava. Lighter skin tone made sense, but not completely white. I let it slide for a year, waiting to see if she'd darken up like Millie claimed. But as Ava grew, those suspicions kept gnawing at me. She's got this platinum blonde hair and fair skin that just doesn't add up. About a week ago, Millie's sister Carol was in town and she dropped by to meet the kids. The last time she visited, Ava was just a few days old. Carol's a tax consultant and was sent by her company on a short-term project to Tokyo, so she hadn't been around since Ava was born. Let me tell you, Carol always been my favorite in-law. She's sharp as a tack, calm, ambitious, kind of like me. We click in a way I never did with other family members of Millie's. Carol's been married for 12 years, but they've had it rough. She suffered a couple of miscarriages before finding out she can't bear a child because of a medical issue. It kills her, and I hate that she beats herself up over it, especially since her husband's a deadbeat who doesn't deserve her. Always dragging her down, showing up late, half-butting their marriage, doesn't even have a proper source of income. Jumping from one business to another, she's been holding the fort for him for years. Has a thriving career and even bought a house recently, which he could never have been able to afford. I leaned on Carol for years, texting her for tax advice, bouncing ideas off her about saving for the kids' future. She's solid, always has my back. So Carol finally drops by to see us and the kids, and when she lays eyes on Ava, I swear she freezes. Didn't say a word in front of Millie. Nobody wants to deal with her tantrums when she gets going. After seeing Ava, Carol got uncomfortable and left early. Somehow I sensed that she was also having the same doubts as I. Hours later, I texted her to check if she reached her home safely. My intention was to initiate a conversation and see if she wants to share her mind when she did. Started off by saying that she had a good time playing with Ava and how she was different than my other kids. I said yes, she doesn't even look like mine, and she went silent. I don't know what she thought that after an hour she drops this bomb. "Ava looks so much like my husband's childhood pics." I detached his picture. It was a blurry old photo of him as a kid. Same pale skin, same light hair. My stomach dropped. I haven't been sleeping right since. It's like a foghorn in my brain, blaring suspicions I don't want to face. I know if I bring this up to Millie, she'll flip out, and her parents will come for Carol's throat. Millie's their golden child. They'd eat their own to defend her. I couldn't let it go. The doubt was eating me alive. Yesterday, it was my turn to watch the kids while Millie was at her friend's. I figured it was now or never. Took them to a clinic and got paternity tests done for all 3. Yeah, I went nuclear. Tested everyone, just to be sure. The results are supposed to come in any minute now, and I'm sweating bullets. My hands are shaking as I type this. I don't even have a game plan if it goes south. If Ava's not mine, hell, if any of them aren't mine, I don't know what I'll do. My head's spinning, picturing Carol's sleazy husband somehow mixed up in this. I'm sitting here, waiting for the results, feeling like I'm gonna puke. Don't know why I'm dumping this here, maybe just to get it off my chest. Am I crazy for doing this? What would y'all do if you were in my shoes? You're not crazy at all for doing paternity tests. You've been sitting with this gut feeling for over a year, and it sounds like you really tried to brush it off and be reasonable. But when something keeps gnawing at you like that, it's hard to just ignore it, especially when someone else in the family notices it too. Update 1. Here goes the next one. So the paternity test results came in, and it was like a sledgehammer to the chest. As I was dreading, Ava isn't mine. Jake and Emma, thank God, are mine. No question. I just sat there, staring at the report for hours. My hands were shaking. Head was spinning. I didn't know whether to cry, scream, or just shut down. 10 years felt like a lie. I mean, how do you even process that? I don't want to confront Millie right away. I wanted to be prepared. I knew she and her parents would probably burn my house down to defend their precious baby girl. So I did the only thing that made sense. Called Carol. I somehow sensed that she would help me in this. Told her Ava wasn't mine, that I'd run the tests, and I was losing my mind. She was calm, like she always is, and didn't even sound shocked. Asked me to send her a cheek swab from Ava so she could run a discreet DNA test against her deadbeat husband. I got it shipped to her, and a few days later, she called me back. It was a match. Greg, that sleazy, half-butted loser, was Ava's father. Though self-test is not legally accepted in the court, but it's not my responsibility to prove the paternity. It doesn't match with me, and that's enough. Carol said, let's meet and decide the next steps. She lives 200 miles away, so we met halfway off the highway. She helped me piece it together. We tracked it back to when Millie got pregnant with Ava. That summer we'd gone on a family vacation with Carol and Greg to this cabin by the beach. Before that trip, Millie spent a week at their place. Carol had bought a beautiful new house with a pool, and the kids wanted to spend time with their favorite aunt. I was tied up at work, so I joined them on a day we left for vacation. Carol said there were many instances when she took the kids out and Millie was alone at home while Greg went to work. It didn't occur to her that they might be fooling around. One night during the vacation, Millie and I got a little carried away, only to realize that the pack of protection was missing. I didn't fuss over it, thinking I forgot to pack it. However, we ended up doing it unprotected. She said she was confident of my putting game, and it's not the fertile time of the cycle, so we can give it a shot. A few weeks after we got back, Millie told me she was pregnant. Said it was from that night, as she had miscalculated her cycle. I bought it. Why wouldn't I? Unprotected sex can lead to pregnancy at any time in the month. There was no reason for me to panic. Now it was clear that Millie must have hooked up with Greg during that week at Carol's before I showed up. The timeline fits too perfectly. I was fuming, but Carol was on fire. She'd had enough of Greg's crap for years, and now this? He has been a lazy bum all his life, and she has been tolerating him for the sake of marriage. She was ready to burn it all down, and honestly, so was I. We planned to go nuclear on both of them. Millie's birthday was coming up last Sunday, and Carol had this wild idea to expose everything in front of the whole family. She wasn't just pissed about Greg, she had a bone to pick with Millie too. Growing up, Millie was the spoiled golden child, always stealing the spotlight. Carol told me how Millie would blow out the candles on everyone's birthday cakes and hold their hands during the cake cutting to share the spotlight. Her parents never corrected her, just laughed it off. Carol saw this as her chance to get revenge. Before this, I never realized that Millie's siblings had such deep wounds and grudges against her. Millie's always been the spoiled baby of her family, youngest of 3. Carol is the eldest. Then there's Derek, and then Millie. Their parents treat her like she's made of glass, but with me, she's different. Or maybe just pretended to be. Carol and Derek did narrate some of the childhood stories when Millie acted entitled, but never directly told she was a brat. Maybe they were too scared of Millie's tantrums that they covered her narcissism, saying she was immature. At times, I dug deep, asking more about her behavior, and they would say, now she has gotten better, outgrown her mean traits. I let it slide, thinking it's harmless pampering. When Carol spilled everything, I went all in for the revenge. As per the plan, I threw Millie a big birthday bash at our house. Invited everyone. My parents and siblings, her parents and brother, Carol and her loser husband, Greg, and some close friends to spill the tea outside. I went all out. Balloons, a big freaking cake, the whole 9 yards. Millie was eating it up, thinking she was the queen of the day. Right before the cake cutting, I asked my brother to take the kids out for ice cream. I had informed him about the plan before the party. I asked everyone to gather for the celebration. Millie didn't bother to ask about the kids, was busy enjoying her moment. I said before we start, I have a gift for you. I presented her with an envelope. She gushed over it, thinking it to be a property paper that maybe I gifted her a house or something. When she pulled out the paper and saw DNA tests, she froze. Before she could react, I snatched the paper and told everyone what it was. I flashed it towards her parents and said, "This is Ava's DNA, and guess who's not her father? Me! Hence, as a reward, here's the divorce paper for your darling daughter." Obviously, everyone freaked out. Her parents were screaming at me when Carol came forward and showed the other test report, which matched Greg's. Her parents snatched the papers from our hands and scanned thoroughly. Meanwhile, Carol handed the divorce papers to her husband. It wasn't as dramatic as it sounds. Mostly it was chaos. Everyone is scanning through the reports, screaming in shock, anger, and disgust. Millie's parents jumped in, trying to save face, yelling at Carol for ruining Millie's life. Carol wasn't having it. She lit into them, calling them out for raising an entitled brat who'd wreck everyone around her. Her brother shocked me by siding with Carol, saying Millie's always been selfish and it was time she faced the music. The party crashed and burned. Millie locked herself in her bedroom, sobbing and raging. I don't know. For the first time ever, she didn't get to cut her birthday cake. Carol made sure of that. A little jab for all those stolen birthdays. My parents took Emma and Jake to their place, telling them Millie was sick from the party and handed over Ava to Millie's parents, who just stormed out. Greg slunk off. I was left with Carol and her brother. Carol was wrecked too. She was crying in pain, had suffered the most. Hell, Lord, she's being cheated on by her husband and by her sister. She needed support more than anyone else, but her parents were more bothered about Millie's embarrassment. They even cornered Greg, but didn't say a word to Millie. I packed a bag and moved out that night, crashing with my parents. 2 days later, Millie texted my parents, demanding they bring the kids back to her, and they did. Her parents called me a week later, asking me to come over and discuss the matter. I went to find Carol and Greg were also present. Mother-in-law started to talk, saying whatever has happened, let's forget and start fresh. Millie made a mistake and she paid the price. Got humiliated in front of everyone on her birthday. Now everyone gets back to normal. She pointed towards Carol and said, "You give Greg the house key and let him in." Carol snapped at her mother that she won't change her mind, to which mother-in-law shot back, "Did you forget this man stuck around you despite your condition?" It was so pathetic to hear. Her mother's logic was that Carol should forgive Greg as he stood by her even though she couldn't give him a child, as if she was a baby-producing machine who malfunctioned and Greg was still having her, instead of throwing her out. Carol fought back and ultimately walked out, saying she won't spend a minute with that deadbeat man. Father-in-law looked at Greg and said, "Look, we tried. Now it's on you." Greg left and father-in-law turned to me and said, "See, they don't have kids. Their matter is simple, but you and Millie have. You can't flash a divorce paper and get rid of everything. Talk to Millie. She'll apologize, take her on vacation. I'll fund it and start a new life." It was a good 1-hour lecture that basically synthesized that I should think about Emma and Jake and shouldn't let them suffer because of this stupid mistake. He even volunteered to pay for Ava's education, and if required, they'll keep her. I laughed to their face for their stupid advice and said, "No, I'm not interested in sharing my life with a cheater." Millie sat there crying. For the first time, I saw her shut her mouth for her own good. So now, I have moved out of my parents and have rented a room at my friend's. Divorce is ongoing, and my lawyer is fighting for visitation rights for Jake and Emma. For now, they're with her, and it breaks my heart every time I drop them. Carol's been a rock, checking in on me and even helping me sort out my finances for the divorce. She kicked Greg out of her house. She owns it, and he was just leeching after her. I'm not gonna lie, the whole thing's a mess, and I'm still processing it. I feel betrayed, but also weirdly free. I just want what's best for my kids, and right now, that means pushing through this divorce and keeping my head above water. Update 2. This year has been a wild since I blew up Millie's last birthday with those DNA results and divorce papers. Today is her birthday again, and I thought of filling in for you guys. The divorce is finally done, and let me tell you, it was a brutal slog. I had to sell it off because that whore was eyeing it. I had paid the most of the mortgage over the years, but that whore still walked away with half the money. Half! My lawyer fought hard, but the court didn't care that I was the one going to keep us afloat. Anyway, selling it was still better than seeing her effing in my bedroom. Before the divorce, once I had to swing by the house to pick up Jake and Emma for a weekend visit, guess who's lounging on my old couch like he owns the place? Greg, smirking, sipping a beer. I saw red. Grabbed him by the collar, yanked him up, and clocked him square in the face and told him, "Next time I see you under this roof, I'll break your dang bones." He didn't say a word, just scurried out like a coward he is. Millie was screaming at me to calm down, but I didn't care. That house was mine in every way that mattered, and he had no business being there. Millie quit her part-time job, trying to claim a fat maintenance check. She thought she could play the poor unemployed mom card and bleed me dry. My attorney wasn't having it. He dug up proof, fetching a resignation letter from her employer that she quit on purpose and not otherwise. The judge saw through her BS and she only got 3 months maintenance instead of the ridiculous amount she was gunning for. I'm still on the hook for child support for Jake and Emma, which I'm fine with. They're my world. But Ava, she got a deal with her on her own. That's on her and her sleazy affair partner. I paid off the maintenance amount at once. Knowing her spending habit, I knew she would blow it off in weeks and not days. Once the house went up for sale, she rented a big apartment thinking the maintenance money could last forever. The amount that she got from selling the house, she used it to pamper herself. Apparently, she was too stressed because of the divorce and deserved a break. Went on a trip, bought bags and shoes. It was much later that she realized she screwed herself big time. Quitting her job backfired hard. On top of that, Greg's a broke freaking wannabe who can barely cover his own bills, let alone hers and Ava's. She scrambled, trying to get her old job back. But the employer filled her spot months ago. Her parents are still in her corner. Golden child syndrome never dies, but when she couldn't afford her rent of her new apartment and wanted to move in with her parents, they started to see the crack. They suggested she marry Greg to fix things, but Millie straight up said he's not husband material. That set her dad off. He lost his cool, yelling that she'd ruined her life and dragged everyone else down with her. I wasn't there, but Carol filled me in. Said it was the first time she'd seen her dad call Millie out like that. Guess even they're getting tired of her mess. He even called Carol and apologized for sidelining her and admitted their fault in raising an entitled Millie. Last I heard, Ava is at Millie's parents' while she's picking up odd shifts at a coffee shop, barely making ends meet. Carol's divorce also got settled. It was less messy than mine. She didn't even bother with alimony from Greg in her divorce. She makes more than he, and she wasn't about to let him leech off of her any longer. Now for the part y'all probably saw coming. Carol and I, yeah, we're a thing now. It's new, and we're taking it slow, but there's something real there. We've always clicked. Same vibe, same drive, same no BS attitude. After all this, we started talking more. First about the divorce and the kids, then about life, dreams, all that deep stuff. One thing led to another, and we're dating. We made it official a couple of weeks ago, posted a selfie on Instagram, just the two of us grabbing coffee, smiling like we're finally free. Millie lost her mind when she saw it, sent Carol a string of angry voicemails, accusing her of stealing her husband. Like, really? She cheated with Carol's husband, and now she's playing victim? We didn't even bother responding. Not worth our breath. Carol's been through enough, and I'm not letting Millie's drama ruin what we're building. I'm not going to pretend it's all sunshine. The divorce gutted me financially, and saying goodbye to Jake and Emma after visits still feels like a knife to the heart. I'm living in my friend's attic, saving up to get a proper place for me and the kids. Carol offered me to move in with her, but I think it's a little early. We'll think about it later. My tough spot is Ava. I raised her for a year, thinking she was mine, and that's weird knowing she's not. I don't hate her, she's just a kid, but it's hard to see her with Millie and not feel that sting. My lawyer is working on getting me more time with Jake and Emma, hoping for joint custody soon. Carol's been a rock, helping me navigate the legal mess and even crunching numbers to keep my finances straight. She's out there, thriving, free from her lousy ex. We are focusing on us and the kids and letting the past stay where it belongs. The best part is the kids love her, and if we decide on a future together, it would be smoother with the kids. That's it for now. I'll drop another update if anything else goes down. Thanks for sticking with me, y'all. That was brutal, but honestly, after everything you uncovered, it sounds like it was long overdue. The way her family tried to sweep everything under the rug afterward, unreal. It's crazy how some people will do anything to protect their own pride, no matter how much damage has already been done. And Millie? She's got some nerve acting like she's the victim in all this after everything she's pulled, especially throwing herself a pity party over you and Carol dating now. You don't owe her anything. She made her bed and now she's lying in it. Greg and all. If you were in this situation, would you want to know the truth no matter how painful, or would you rather keep the peace and live with the doubt? Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you next time.